Okay, what do you mean Bark says by Johnny? What do you mean Bark says by Johnny? What do you mean Bark says by Johnny? Exactly. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 3, where things change. We got a new topic today, a little switcheroony.
It's also New Year.
Yes, it's New Year. It's now 2026. Mm-hmm. So the year of eternal grief has moved on.
How do you feel so far? Do you feel a little like...
No, I don't.
No?
I don't synergize with the Gregorian calendar. I feel New Year's happened for me around February, March-ish, more when the seasons change. So this is more of just like a symbol of how the world runs, and I'll, do symbolic things, but I'm not really like, New Year's, okay, here comes the change. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like a switch over into a new feeling, because so many people are synergizing with that I'll roll with that and be like, okay.
Yeah, it's nice to like tap into the collective energy of the new year and think about it and reflect and, start to do some planning. But for sure, the whole month of January and February is still to like hunker down in the winter here and plan and see how you want your year to unfold. But I did find that I woke up, in these first couple days and, air smelled a little nicer, felt a little fresher, felt lighter. I didn't feel this pull to be like, yeah, clean slate. Look at all these new beginnings. Look at all this thing I'm going to cut off. I was like, actually, I think I'm maybe doing fine. And I can carry on with a lot of the things I'm already doing. But also leave a lot behind and move on and change.
Yeah, I do feel there is one feeling I would like to add to that, is that I do feel that change is always coming, but I do feel like it's rolling into something more. And I'm always growing, but I think it's rolling into something that is more to do with the growth of, my spirit, the growth of my career, the growth of my skills. I really feel more driven than ever. Like I've been meditating now consistently for over 60 days straight.
Cool.
And journaling and doing all those like little practices consistently, and that's something that I'm really going to take into this year, is consistency. Yeah. So the episode this week we want to cover, which we had a cool little chat about, is synchronicity. And for all you audience members that may not know what synchronicity is, I wrote a little blurby here. It was introduced in the early 20th century by a man named Carl Jung, who was quite a contemporary thinker and did a lot of kind of trippy things in his lifetime. But it is essentially the principle that is connecting principles between psychological states like dreams, thoughts, emotions, and aligning them with external events that feel more than chance, like events that feel more significant, not just a coincidence. So that's where we're going to start off. We want to talk about this concept of synchronicity. It's been very important in my life, as I'm sure it is in Alex's life. And so we're going to start off there. Do you have any starting thoughts, or you want me to go?
I can start with something.
Okay.
I was going to say immediately what came to mind to me is synchronicity is becoming more important in my life. I think as I've like gone on my own life and spiritual and journey around change, it isn't something that I've always noticed, and it was something that actually I had a lot of frustration around, because sometimes it did just feel like coincidence. Sometimes I would hear other people talk about synchronicity, and I could feel that version of myself that's like, you're making the meaning. It's kind of like sometimes how I feel about horoscopes, and like I can get behind horoscopes and listen to when people have like really cool and intuitive information, but we technically are just looking at the stars, and like in space there's no relationship to each other. Those stars they're super far apart, like they don't.
But like Scorpio doesn't know it's Scorpio.
Yeah, but to us visually looking at it, we're making this shape in this image, and then we're like, oh, we have meaning. So that to me was like my early relationship with synchronicity. And then it was actually through teachers and through friends and people that I've talked to. And then it was one of those things that as I gave my attention to it, I felt it show itself in my life more. I felt it revealed itself. And there's that piece that you're talking about where things feel more than coincidence. Sometimes things just do feel like a coincidence. You're like, oh, shit. Okay. And sometimes you're like, no, that, how can I explain that? And so, yeah, I just wanted to start with that and say that, like, it has come in and out of my life. And recently it's in a phase where it's in more, and my attention is on it. And perhaps, simply put, where attention goes, energy flows. So when you choose to see it, is that something you have to choose to see? Maybe that's my first question. Put back to you.
Well, I'm going to answer that if it's something whether I choose to see, but I want to touch on the meaning, because I've heard this statement a lot throughout my life, that we are meaning-making machines. And as meaning-making machines, we look out at a tree blowing and an eagle flying as a symbol of prosperity or a symbol of fertility or a symbol. Look at any ancient culture. We are meaning-making machines throughout history. You know, like we look at the gods, or we look at the earth, or we look at each other, and like this thing happening like this meant this. So I used to struggle early when synchronicity was becoming available to me, or I was noticing it, of going, well, are we just making this up? Are we just creating meaning because we want to feel like this is meaningful? It's not just we're not just a fucking explosion in the span of time. And I kind of moved past that because, to relate back to what you're saying, is I do think we are meaning-making machines, A. And B, I believe, my personal belief is that reality is happening around us, but we are also co-creating it. You're co-creating it, I'm co-creating it. Every human on earth here is somehow a part of the reality that's happening. And so for how much we're meaning-making machines, we're also co-creators. We're also all creators. Like, you can look through time, look at all the beautiful things humanity has done. Obviously, we've also done terrible things. But because we're meaning-making machines, instinctively, I believe that synchronicity is a part of the information that is available to us to show not what meaning we're making, but how it's affecting us before it comes. So that if I'm, seeing all of these patterns, and that's a common thing in synchronicity, is pattern recognition. My pattern recognition kind of came from my brother, it attached to my older brother, and it was 23. It was the number 23. And whenever 23 showed up, synchronicity would happen really close to it. Whereas someone would say something, or something would happen, I was like, whoa, that's connected to that, and that's connected to that. And I would recognize patterns. And so that was the first real evolution into me looking at it seriously, was pattern recognition of like, oh, 23 is a thing. And synchronicity started to pervade my life when I was an athlete a long time ago, when I started making new friend circles. And so pattern recognition was the first real like insight I had into seeing it as something that was not just happening to me, but available to me if I was able to tune into it. And I don't think I've always been able to tune into it. And it changes because, life happens and there's all these things. But even when things were hard and grief-filled, I still find synchronicity now. How have you felt synchronicity like impact your life in a way that assists you in your growth?
Well, I think even building off what you said about the pattern recognition, in that sometimes synchronicity feels like universal Easter eggs, or like a little bit of a breadcrumb trail. It's like when you do notice them like popcorn up in your lifestyle, you're kind of like, oh, maybe I'm doing something right. Maybe I'm on the right path, or like, oh, I'm supposed to be here. I was supposed to buy this thing or talk to this person, or insert whatever event. And immediately I'm looking at stuff in your room. Like, anyone who knows me now over the last couple of years, I have a fixation on the color orange. I like orange flavored things. I will buy orange items. If I go look at clothes at a thrift store, I will go to the orange section. And I'm thinking now about how many things I bought that are orange that have led to like really cool events, or cool conversations, or interesting moments, or like I don these orange items and kind of cool things happen. Then I get compliments, or then I get something noticed. And it's like just following this like pattern of, oh, maybe let myself be drawn to orange things.
And also by doing that, you're creating those opportunities for it to.
And it takes me back to the first memory when I think the fixation started. It was my second time traveling through Nepal, and I needed a buff. I needed something to cover like my face and my neck for the cold. and I found a really cheap like orange one. And I'd realized like I'd also gotten an orange jacket and some other stuff, and the fixation was already starting. And then I remember I met a local, and he just like stopped me, and he's like, "Huh, orange, happy color,"
Whoa.
and then walked away. And I was just like, "Yeah, yeah, cool."
Wow.
And it just like sat with me, and I was like, "All right, orange."
Oh yeah, those simple moments are so priceless. I feel like the first big impactful one that happened to me, now they're relating to like big hits with synchro, was when I did the first Predator movie, the one with Shane Black. Was before that happened, I was doing like background, and you remember the grind of me trying to like make myself in the film industry, and I was like, oh, how do I do this? How do I like build this? And how that happened, the synchro that happened was a background agency I worked with many years prior to that remembered me and connected me with someone who was a part of the team who was looking for people. And I was submitted in a group of, I think, like 1,000 people. And I was like, what did you submit me for? I didn't even know what it was. And they're like, oh, this big project. I'm like, okay, cool, 1,000 people, wow. Like, send all your materials. Sent it. Then every couple of weeks I would get an email, and they'd be like, hey, you're in the top 500. Hey, you're in the top 100. And eventually I remember getting a call and being like, you're in the top 10. And then they're like, you're in the top 5. We're flying you to LA next week to do an audition for this movie, and it's The Predator. I was like, oh my God. And during all of those times, I was getting synchro in my life where I was having people reach out and be like, hey man, I feel like something's coming for you. And I'd be like, well, they don't know this. They don't know what's happening to me. They don't know. It's like, why are they saying this? Like, this is the synchro. This is the like, get ready, get ready. I kept feeling, get ready, get ready. And I started going like, oh, something's coming. And then when it came, I went, oh, here it is. This is the thing. And I'm like, well, top 5, like, what are the chances? Well, probably pretty low, but it happened anyway. And I went, okay, I just have to accept it. I have to look at, okay, from that moment, I was like, what signals? I literally stopped working that week, and I went to the gym every single day in front of a mirror and practiced like all these movements and all this stuff. And I was like, I'm going to generate synchro now. I'm going to do everything in my power to create, like you grabbed orange. I'm going to create all these things and be like, universe,
cool.
What's next? And then, you remember the whole process of like going down there for the audition, and like, it was so competitive, but so beautiful. All the guys that were there to do it were really great. And when I went home, I was dating someone at the time, and I remember laying, I was at her place, and I was laying in her bed in my boxers, just waiting, like, because they said they were going to call if there was interest that week. I remember laying there and going, synchronicity, please show me a sign. And I guess people, historically would say that about God and religion. They would, they ask for a sign, whereas I'm like speaking to this non-tangible thing, like, show me a sign. And literally, as I pictured myself, my body going woo, and standing into the costume of the Predator, the moment that my body sunk in with it, my phone rang. And I picked up my phone, and the conversation was, hey, Kyle, this is, so-and-so producer. We were so excited about you coming down. And I was like, oh, I didn't get it. Fuck. And he's like, we're so excited about you coming down. And like, you did such a good job and did this and that. Like, how he's kind of like prefacing it like it's going to just collapse. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, so, we'd like to offer you the role of Predator. Excuse me? What? He's like, yeah, we'd like to offer you the role. I was like, you're fucking kidding me. He's like, excuse me? I was like, no, like, I'm sorry. Like, I wasn't being professional. I was mind blown. And he's like, so you're going to get a call in a couple of days, and we're going to give you more details, but we just want to say congratulations. And I remember hanging up and like just falling on my knees and crying and being like, oh my God, like, how did all of this happen? How did all of these dots connect? How did I stop being a professional athlete to get into university to be a teacher, to then get into background, to then learn to do a dance style called popping and animation, which led me to do these special movement skills that got me further into film industry, that somehow got me this opportunity, which led to me being this character. And I look back, and that was the first real hit where I went, doof, 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 and I connected the dots of synchro. Cool. I went, okay, it's real. And from that moment forward, I was like, okay, it's real, and it's time to take it more seriously and really just try and slow my being down to see what symbols are showing up. And I guess at that moment, I decided, like, okay, I'm both manifesting this and being aware of this.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing a lot. I feel like there's a thread coming through of with synchro. It's like paying attention At first, paying attention to pattern recognition,
Mm.
paying attention. You said something earlier of you felt it coming, like when people are telling you something was happening. Like, do you physically feel it in your body? Do you feel it in a particular place? But also being able to notice that feeling, and then looking back and noticing, like, there is this like, yeah, really sort of, and it doesn't have to be super intense or something you have to like sit and train, but just this like habit development of noticing things in your life.
I don't know if I would say train, but definitely you need to have consistency in your opinion towards it. Because if you are like we know how you generate the world of your mind is how you're going to generate what comes to you. I believe if you're pessimistic about it or narcissistic about it, like synchronicities it's not real, it doesn't work, it's not, and it's just coincidence, then that's the choice you have made to see the world. So this comes back to like, we can never empirically prove if it's real or if we're just choosing.
Yeah.
But whether we're seeing it or not, and whether it's real or not, I have seen proof that these things have come. And I just feel at the deepest core of my being, which I can't be like, it's in my spleen. It's somewhere in the core of me that goes, this is a principle of reality that I was never taught and probably never will be taught, but it feels true. And as the saying I always say, it's a thing I say a lot in my life, is feeling is knowing. That your gut can shift perspectives, but my gut has never lied to me. Feeling is knowing. Okay, well, if this is a principle of reality, I don't need to try and explain it. I'm just going to listen to it. If it's a piece of wisdom, like someone who hugs a tree or someone who meditates in a monastery to gongs like, they're all finding a way to just listen. And so this is going to be my meditation, essentially, is to practice, not train, but practice listening and being aware, so that when it does come, I can feel the difference between, oh, is this synchronicity or is this just me creating a story in my head? I personally feel like I can feel that now. It's been 20 years of pursuing this. So yes, it is a feeling in my body when it happens, to go like, hey, listen to this. Hey, be aware of this. And I'll go, oh, okay. And I don't need to write it down. I don't need to really do anything with it. Just notice it. And then if another connection comes, sometimes they make a few connections and then life just goes, shh. And sometimes it goes, boop, 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 boop. It comes to a head, like booking a huge role or something for me, like, so it doesn't always lead to this exclamation point, but it definitely starts as a feeling of like, look, notice, notice. And the more you notice, I think the better your tool gets at noticing what that might mean for you.
Right.
Because I think synchronicity isn't one principle that everyone's looking at and we're all seeing the same thing. I think it's different for all of us. We're all, yeah.
So on that note, then, for maybe anyone listening or watching who's a little bit skeptical, like, do you think the universe or the reality we all live in is a synchronistic place and it's happening as like a blanket for all of us? And then it's just about whether you've honed in on this noticing? Or do you think it's one of those things that like happens more? Does it happen more to some people than others?
Does it happen?
You see where I'm getting at?
People knows. I'll tell you this. The people I get along with most and the people I have the deepest bonds with believe in the principle that they believe that there is a principle like synchronicity, if not synchronicity itself, exists, that connects things, that makes things significant, that gives you more information on how things are connected. Whether they fully subscribe to that or they have a different methodology of processing the information, they see the connections of things and the patterns of things. And I feel like it is available for everyone, but who am I to say whether it's real or not? I really think it's for each person to decide for themselves whether they want to accept that to be a possible principle and to admit that, hey, I don't know everything about reality. We really don't. And so I can just look at it and go, okay, I'm just going to accept this. So the kind of people that wouldn't accept that and may have a worldview that goes, no, that's bullshit. No, I don't want to see that. Genuinely, I may not cross their paths as much because synchronicity is connecting me with all these similar minds. And maybe that's just because what I'm emanating, and it may not have anything to do with synchronicity. But
but then maybe synchronicity is connecting skeptical people with other skeptical people.
Yes, and some skeptical people become different, and some people who may be here may become skeptical. Like
cool.
Yeah.
This reminds me, it's kind of a tangent, but it feels related. It reminds me of I was back in university and I took an astronomy course. It was one of my favorite images of space. I think it's like the cosmic microwave radiation, like the radiation in the background of the universe. Or it was a plotting of a bunch of stars or something, and the professor like throws up this slide or this image, and he's like, look, you can see it's like space isn't random. And I remember sitting there being like, I'm trying to see a pattern, and I just like let it wash over me. But I remember like just listening to him say it, and he's like, look, it's not random. And I was like I didn't see a shape. I didn't see like a face or like a mushroom or a scorpion or whatever it is. But I was just like, oh, you're right. It's not random. But it looks random. Like to anyone, you just see all these points. Like that's a star, that's a star, that's a galaxy, that's a galaxy. But for whatever reason, that stuck with me. He's like, look, he was so excited. He's like, look, you can tell, you can see it's not random. The entire universe isn't random. And I was like,
so he had a belief system. You could feel it by how you're responding.
It was really cool. It was the first time I just sat there as like a student in that lecture, being like staring at this image, being like, yeah, I guess it's not. Fuck.
Now there's more I need to figure out.
Yeah, but
that we may never figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me of one of our favorite videos. You can search us up, type in on YouTube, Andromeda 4K. It's they took a Hubble telescope photo of the Andromeda galaxy that has a 1 billion megapixel picture. And all this person does is zoom in on 1/4 of the galaxy, and the video is just panning through the galaxy, and you see all of these points of light, and it starts going towards the center of the galaxy, the picture, and you see how dense it gets that you can't even see the difference between the points of light. There's so many points of light that you can't even perceive the difference between them. And I remember seeing that and going, this isn't random.
Yeah.
This isn't just a bunch of explosions that happened in the sky. And this is the thing, because we're meaning-making machines, we're these spirit machines, we look at that and, you know, some people might be like God, some people might be like Allah. It doesn't matter what you believe in. You're like, there is something greater happening, a fabric and a layer that is happening that I don't understand, and I know I don't understand, but I can acknowledge that this is not only one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, that we can even capture that I can look at 1 billion stars with my eyes and see them and see the light and just go, oh. I've cried. I don't know how many times I've cried watching it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
if you want to feel the tears of inspiration,
man,
you know,
that video.
You can watch that video.
But that was like, you know, I don't know if I could directly connect that to synchronicity, but I remember the same feeling of like, man, there's just layers of understanding that we don't really know, and I may never know, and I don't even think it's my purpose to try and know what it is, but to know that it is a part of the gift of being alive, is to try and accept that there are way more layers than what we see, smell, taste, and touch, and to try and intuit this magical sense we have, where we can sense animals looking at us or people prowling at us. You know, like we have these senses that we don't really train. I'm like, well, what if this is something I can kind of practice and allow in? And when I see these photos of galaxies and the universe, and how, especially with technology now, like the stuff that we're seeing is unprecedented. We've never seen it before, and it feels magical. And I think micro and macro, when you saw that image and you're like, oh, there's connections, you may not be able to see it, because at what scale are you looking? A human scale? Are you the size of a sun? Are you the size of a galaxy? It depends what scale you're looking to see. If that, I can look at galaxies and go, oh, that looks like a microbiome. That looks like a river. That looks like, you know, that looks like a leaf, a pattern on a leaf. Like we can see the micro and macro of all things, and that's us making pattern recognition and connections. And we see greater wisdom in that. And so I think that ultimately synchronicity is a part of the fabric of living a life that, if we pay attention to it, we may actually be able to tune our life in a way that can acknowledge and see the magic of connected things, including grief. Like a relationship I had. I won't say when it was, but it's the best first date of my life. And the very next morning, after this 15-hour first date, 15 hours, went to nature, we ate food, we sat in silence. It was absolutely magical. The next morning, I woke up like, I get a text from my brothers. Mom just had a major heart attack and she's in the hospital. And I just remember being like, universe, why would you do this to me? Why would you give me something so beautiful and then just kick me in the balls? You know? And is that synchronicity? I don't know. There's these divine principles of interaction that are happening that almost feel like balancers. And when I look back at all these synchronicities, I can go, oh, maybe that was a balancing moment. For me to have this, I had to have this. And the next moment, for me to have this, I had to have this. And maybe this is what's going to help me get through this. As you know, it was.
Yeah.
You know, that became like a really strong love in my life. And it became a balancing principle. And I was like, was that synchro? Am I just making those, am I the meaning maker making those connections? But, and that's in a different context from like a career thing, you know, in a relational way with grief. Yeah. So I don't think it's always like, oh, when crazy good things happen, it's synchro. Right. I think it's with everything. Yeah. And including small things. Like I might walk and go to the gym and see a person and be like, oh, I wish I said something. And then, you know, an hour later, I'm walking through my neighborhood and I walk into that same person and they're like, hey, and then I say the thing. Yeah. I think it can happen.
I mean, even on that simple level, I think about like bumping into a friend of mine out in the city, like all the little events that had to happen that day. Like if I had forgotten something up in my apartment, if I went down to my car, forgot something and went back up, I wouldn't have bumped into that person. But it's like all those little events that happen in both your lives to like bump into each other on the street.
Yeah.
Like, even if it doesn't seem like there's like some huge, meaning or opportunity or, I got to follow this path. It's like, I think, just those little events. And I feel like they're trying to find you too. Like this always reminds me of it was a little like nightly
like there's an intelligence to it.
Yeah, that it's like, it's in that vein of being like a breadcrumb or an Easter egg. It's got like fairy energy where it's kind of like, and it'll just like pop in and out. And it's up to you. Like, if you notice it, and maybe you know, it's not that it's gone forever, but I feel like it's trying to find you. And what we've been talking about, this not train it, but you know, sort of practice noticing, and the honing of this skill is that you, open more, you learn to listen more, you learn to notice more, and these things are trying to find you. And meaning is trying to reveal itself to you.
And it's funny you say that, because in doing that, you're just amplifying your quality of life anyway. You just made it sound like a literal quality of meditation. To be more noticing, to be more aware, is going to make you look at yourself, who you are, how you show up, how you treat people, what events are coming to you, what events are passing through you. That noticing in general is a meditative practice. To let things move through you and not stick in you, and to also be highly aware of how it's interacting with you and how you are taking that and interacting with the world. So, I mean, if I was to advocate anything, why I love the principle of synchronicity is because the more that you notice it, the more that you notice yourself and who you are and how you show up. So it becomes kind of like a subtle practice of just being better, being more tuned.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I've ever met someone who really follows this principle and like notices this and seen them as like terrible people.
Yeah.
I can't think of one example.
Tuned is a really nice word. I feel like it's like if synchronicities are at this tune and you're at that tune, then you might miss it. But if you can tune yourself to the same, exactly.
Yeah, vibration. Like,
yeah.
And no, go.
Oh, I didn't have anything. That was just
that just totally sparked my whole like obsession with frequencies. I've learned to sing over the past 7-8 years, and I've recently started to do. I've done overtoning for a few years, which is related to throat singing, Tuvan throat singing, which is what the is overtoning, where you make a tone and then you shape your mouth and it's two tones at once. But it's to do with frequencies. And when I went to Egypt, you know the synchronicities that happened to me in Egypt. When I went to Egypt, I actually had my mind blown and life changed. But that could be another conversation. but it relates to frequencies and the science of frequency. So I was like, did these ancient cultures know about synchro? I don't know if I can't think back and go, oh, has anyone specifically written about it and called it synchronicity? Because obviously Carl Jung in the 20th century wrote about it. Well, maybe they called it something different back then.
Right.
Maybe that was a principle that everyone knew and everyone followed, and it was a part of your daily life and why they built the pyramids and why, like maybe there was like an interconnectedness that we have lost, and that this may be a principle that comes back into our life to like reemerge into a greater understanding of like, what is life? What are you? How do you interact? Why, frequencies. Pyramids.
Cool, man.
Frequencies.
Well, this was something I wanted to bring up, and this just feels like a good moment for it now, but it was sort of a thought experiment, and I found out about it through listening to the Duncan Trussell Family Hour podcast.
Yeah.
I think it was the guest Mitch Horowitz was on. It was like a 30-day challenge. I think it was designed by someone called William James in the like 20s, 30s, or 40s. Either way, put simply, it was just like a thought experiment, but from someone who's like in a university element. He was a physician, kind of having problems in the last like years of his degree and everything, and was just like looking for a spiritual practice, but from that like Carl Jung university approach, where like, oh, I want this to be like verifiable and testable and not too like woo-woo, for lack of a better term. And it was just this, you sort of write out a contract to yourself. Usually it's about 30 days, and you say like, I, Alex, for the next 30 days, when thinking about the past, I'll direct my attention to the positive elements. When thinking about the present, I will think mostly of the joyful and happy moments. And when thinking about the future, I will regard every option as completely possible. And this person documented their experience, and they ended up getting the position they needed. They got a ton of positive feedback. Like their life just got better. And I've tried it multiple times over my lifestyle, and it's literally something I rewrite almost every month, to the point where I just like, it's a constant like thought experiment for myself. And it's really cool. It's really, yeah.
That is something I am going to try. That sounds...
And I even do it in like smaller versions. Like sometimes I'll sit down at a night or a week, and I'll just be like, oh, let me think back on this day. And it doesn't have to be super rigorous, but I'm like, what are a few like positive moments that I can drop back into? What are a few things this week? Like one was like, this week I'm going to find the next book I want to read at one of the community book boxes. And then I just started walking around and looking at the book boxes and found something I wanted to read.
It just feels better to live that way, honestly.
Yeah.
It feels better to look for synchro, or to be meaning-making machine, Like it just makes it, because life has so many hard things that happen. It feels like all of these principles are here to enhance the focus and attention to see all of the beauty and connection in life, instead of just like
And think about how often that's people's work, whether it's in universities or whatever, their own business offering. It's just like, oh, I'm going to connect these two seemingly like different things. Like, oh, can I connect popping dance and exercise and meditation? Some people, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just like making these connections and then building offerings and building a new world out of those connections.
Building new worlds. It's that time.
33.
Let's get it done on time. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. This one's been about synchronicity.
That was fun.
It was.
Feel free to leave a comment.
Yeah.
I don't know. How has synchronicity affected you?
Yeah.
Do you believe? Do you not believe?
Yeah. Or any of these concepts that we talked about. It'd be cool to see what people think.
Yeah.
So
how does it resonate?
Thanks for tuning in. Till next time.
Peace.
See ya.